This isn't just another podcast episode. It's a movement for high-achieving women ready to break free from the grind, embrace grace, and lead authentically in every space they enter. Welcome to another edition of the Grace Over Grind podcast. Listen, oh my gosh. Y'all, I am back, full effect. Why did it take an entire year for me to get my mind together to be able to come back and join you back again at the microphone and now via video? You can grab the Grace Over Grind podcast. Listen, I wanted to be able to take this time, take this season to really reflect and think about what is it that I want to be able to bring to my audience. First off, let me say thank you to everyone who's been rocking with me since the podcast first launched. We had over 85 episodes that are in the book, so we're not new to this. We are true to this, and we are back better than ever. So here's the deal. In this particular episode, I really want to get into empowering the Christian woman in their purpose, empowering the Christian woman in their purpose. Part of the reason why I took the pause that I did is I needed to take the time to think back, refocus, and decide, well, what is the purpose that I'm really seeking or going for when it comes to the Grace Over Grind podcast. So I'm so excited that you would take the time to be a part of this conversation and that we are ready to begin this journey to the Grace Over Grind live recording, which is set to happen on May 17th. So be sure and mark your calendars now. What if you could lead with impact without the burnout? What if success didn't require constant hustle, but instead came through grace? It's time to shift your mindset and step into leadership with confidence, faith, and purpose. Dr. Lacey C. Robbins of Robbins Nest Consulting for a special live recording of the Grace Over Grind podcast. This is going to be an absolutely dynamic day on Saturday, May 17th. Mark your calendars now, where we will be bringing powerful conversations all around leadership, faith, and purpose straight to you. Mark your calendars now because I want to see you there. This isn't just another podcast episode. It's a movement for high-achieving women ready to break free from the grind, embrace grace, and lead authentically in every space they enter. Here's what you can expect. Real, unfiltered conversations with women in leadership, strategies to thrive in your career without sacrificing your peace, and live Q&A and exclusive audience participation. This is going to be absolutely dynamic. Are you ready to be in the room? Listen, reserve your spot now for May 17th. Click the link to register. Be a part of this transformational experience because grace isn't just an idea, it's your strategy for success. See you there. So one question that I want to invite you to also ask yourself is, how to align my life with God's calling. Now, you may have heard people say, how do I know what my purpose is? Or, what is it that God's called me to? You yourself may have even said that. And the thing that I often will remind people, including myself, is that everything that you're looking to try to figure out can be found in the good book. Right? There's a book for it. There's a book about it. And if you ever find yourself confused or you're trying to figure out and think, well, what is it that God has called me to? You can always go back to His Word. His Word is very plain. It's very true. And it simply spells it out for you as to what He's called you to do. And so, like our podcast tells us, we have been called to live in a space of grace and not grind. We have been called to be in the space that we can move as He's called us to do. And sometimes what can happen is we can get into grind culture and we can get into a space of burnout. But burnout isn't a badge of honor. Now, unfortunately, we live in a society now where, if you're not hustling, if you're not grinding it out, if you're not trying to do big things and get the bag and all this, then you're not considered as successful, or you're not considered as being able to do things that are super special, or things that are considered like high end, or whatever the case might be. But I want to challenge you to start to think, how can I reprogram my mind so that I don't get caught up into that grind culture? As women of faith, women believers, we can really discover and live out the divine purpose that we have been called for without feeling overwhelmed or burned out. So if you've ever said, or you may even be hearing my voice, seeing us on video, and you're thinking to yourself, you know what, I'm exhausted. I could really use a nap. These kids, this husband, this life, it has me moving in all different directions, the job, whatever the case might be. And so if you're exhausted, you're constantly saying yes and sacrificing your well-being, your leadership isn't sustainable. Ouch. I know that might be hard to hear, but if you are constantly exhausted, if you're saying yes to every single thing, your leadership is not sustainable. And what does that mean exactly? Well, that means that you are going to eventually fall off. Your body is going to start to talk to you one way or the other. It's going to let you know how it's feeling, and you're going to end up finding yourself in a space of burnout. And when you're burned out, your mind and your body literally starts talking to you and shutting down. And so we have a choice. Do we listen to our bodies and start to make adjustments, or do we continue to press through? So the most effective leaders, they set boundaries and they protect their time. They protect their interests. They protect their self-care. And as a leader, I want to invite you to do the same thing. Now, if you haven't picked up a copy of my book before, Everyday Business, Conquering What Seems Impossible, I'll make sure to leave a link in the comments so that you can be able to grab a copy, because in it, I specifically talk about how you can start to set your own boundaries through the power of no. Through the power of no. I love Anne Lamott, who says no is a complete sentence. And so why high achieving women are burning out? Well, some of it is just simply because we are the ones who are leading the burden for our families, or we're ascending into leadership, climbing that corporate ladder, looking to see how we can do all the things and be all the things to everybody. But in today's episode, I want to invite you to start to think about, how do I fix it? And so in today's episode, I want to get into 3 ways that you can start to fix burnout that's happening in your life and in your work experiences, so that you can end up being a better leader. So leadership should feel fulfilling, not exhausting. Let's get into it. So too many women in leadership are running on empty. Why are we running on empty? Well, it's simply because we've been conditioned that we need to do it all. And in fact, that could be no further from the truth. We're told that success means doing it all, which is part of the reason why the burnout keeps happening. But here's the truth. And I literally have people say, Dr. Lacey, is there any way that I can go from being burnt out to being bold still? Is there any way I can go from being burnt out to being amazing? Is there any way I can go from being burnt out to rested? And the answer is yes. Yes, there is. So the first thing I want to have you to consider, and here's the truth, is that sustainable success comes from working smarter, not harder. Sustainable success comes from working smarter, not harder. So number 1 to working a lot smarter is to set non-negotiable boundaries. Ooh, yes, set your boundaries. Now, I know a lot of times it can feel uncomfortable. Listen, I was just having this conversation with Bishop Robbins. That's how long it's been since we had an episode, y'all. My husband has gone from just pastor to bishop. But we're back. We are back. We are back. We are back. And so one of the things we were just talking about is, how do you start to set boundaries? Needless to say, in your career, in your experiences, you have a lot of demands that are upon you. And so the easiest way to be able to set boundaries is through the power of no. And so set non-negotiable boundaries as well. Yes, so as you say no, You might feel a little twinge of guilt. You may have some individuals who can't believe that you're actually saying no to them. And no may not even feel the most comfortable to you, because no is literally like slamming a door in someone's face, right? But no is also a way that our brain protects us. And it allows us to set that boundary so that we can be more strategic in how we're spending our time. Now, I have a special gift for you. Again, you can download it free in the comments. 21 ways to the power of no. 21 ways to the power of no. So if you ever find yourself a little uncomfortable in just being able to say straight out like, no, I can't do it. This is strategic ways that you can be able to say, you're not available. Number 16 is my favorite, and I use it often. So be sure to go down into the show notes and download your free copy of that now. Here's number 2. Prioritize your high impact work. Prioritize your high impact work. Now, how do you determine what your high impact work is exactly? You need to be able to make the decision, what is going to allow me to get the most done with minimal amount of effort. A lot of times people will start off their day and it's like, oh, let me get into the emails. But emails may not bring the most productivity that you're looking for to be able to accomplish. I love the quote by Mark Twain where he says, eat the frog first, and then that'll be the most difficult part of your day, right? So he doesn't literally mean to eat the frog, but what he's basically saying is the thing that might be the most arduous, that will take the most time, that could even feel perhaps the most draining of your day, that's the thing you want to accomplish and get out of the way. Now, here's a Robin's tip for you. One thing that I always do is you're building your own nest, is you really want to think about what are the things that are going to help me to be most strategic with my time. So that means the night before, I'm actually already building out what my list of things to do for the next day. Another tip along that same line to help you with your own prioritization is I keep a notebook. And in my notebook, I'm writing down my list of things to do, and I'm writing down what things I need to follow up for either next day or later in the week or whatever the case might be. Part of the reason why I do this in a spiral notebook is I can then go back and I have everything in one place. I used to be one who I would write my notes of things to do, but I'd have it on little pieces of paper here and there, sheets that you might get from the grocery store, right? Those little tear off type of foldy stickies. And then I couldn't remember, did I get everything done on my list, or, I found myself rewriting it again. And so by me keeping it all in one centralized location, it's really helped me to maintain my organization, which is most important. And it's also helping me to be able to feel a sense of accomplishment, right? I got all these things done. Yes, I am one of these people that will go back and add something to my list just to be able to go back and cross it off. Please tell me I'm not alone. Tell me I'm not alone. If I am not alone, down in the show notes, give me a little comment. Me too. Simply say me too there as well, so that I know I am not alone with that. So as you're prioritizing that high impact work, you're going to find yourself being able to get more done or feeling a greater sense of accomplishment because you took on the thing that was going to either be the most draining or take the most time or feel the most arduous to you. And at the end of the day, that's going to make you feel amazing because you got it done. And so for me, for example, I try not to start my days with email. I really try to start my days with something that's going to allow me to get the biggest leap. So another strategy that you might use for prioritization is picking specific days for specific tasks. So for instance, on Mondays, I try to use that as like a catch up from the weekend, any sort of paperwork that might need to be done. But on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, I double down on my pitching to organizations. Why? Because my colleagues who I'm pitching to are now warmed up in their week, and they're also going to be more receptive to what I may be sending via email or any follow-up calls. And I also use Thursdays and Fridays to be able to connect with clients. We use those Thursdays and Fridays. A lot of times that might be work going into organizations, offering professional development training, or having our coaching calls, because people are looking to button up their weekend and get ready for what's ahead, including later on for the following week. So these are just a few things that we do here in the Robin's Nest. Hopefully you find something that works for you as well. Here's point number 3 that I want to remind you when it comes to fixing your issues with burnout. Well, it's give yourself permission to rest. Yes, give yourself permission to rest. Listen, you know what day it is when we're recording this episode? It is officially March the 10th, which is National Day of Rest for Black women. Now, I say for all women, you should be using this time to find a space of grace so that you can rest. Oftentimes we find ourselves, again, grinding it out, this grind culture, hustle culture that is telling us that you have to get more done and use all the time that you already have, or use even less time to get more done as well. Well, when you give yourself permission to rest, you literally are reminding yourself, I can't pour from an empty cup. This is the benefit of me resting. And in giving yourself permission to rest, it actually helps you to be more effective. There is literally a wall that you hit as you are going throughout your time and day. And so while you may be thinking, let me just get one more thing done, or I'm going to try to get, I got to work on these 2 or 3 more items and then I'll go to bed, you actually may have already hit the wall, which is causing you to take longer to get something done than if you would have just simply given yourself permission to go on and get some rest and try again tomorrow. Again, what does rest look like for you? What does rest look like for you? Now, for some people, rest is a nap. For others, it may be going out and taking a walk. For someone else, it may be a full day at the spa. But whatever it is, I want to invite you to define for yourself, what does rest look like? So for instance, if you are showing up in your bedroom with your laptop and your notebook and trying to get all the things done, you are literally signaling to your brain that it's not time to rest, it's time to work. So when you do find yourself back in your bedroom, you may find it difficult to get some rest when you're ready to do so, because you've been conditioning and training yourself that it's time to work because you have done so in the past. Now, for me personally, rest is a nap. I have a little, and so when she naps, I nap, honey. And rest also for me, believe it or not, is taking the time to care for myself by exercising each day. Literally, if I am not moving this body and getting this brain going in the morning, I feel like I'm not rested. And so when you have a better understanding of your body and how your mind works, you then can tap into things that help you to really rest. So what are your go-tos when it comes to rest? Keep the conversation going down below. Encourage somebody else who may be trying to come up with new ways, new strategies, how they can get their rest in. I know for a lot of people, it's also difficult to get up early in the morning and be able to do more things so that you can get more stuff done so that you can go to bed earlier in the evening. But, just try it. What would start to happen if you wake up 10 minutes earlier? 15, 20 minutes earlier, and keep that going so that you can get more things done, so that you do have that time to get a good night's rest. Now, the research speaks to the fact that we as women actually need more rest than our male counterparts. Yes, we need at least 9 to 10 hours of rest, whereas our male counterparts can get away with 6 to 8 hours of rest. And so when we know this about ourselves, you might be able to make some adjustments to your own personal rhythm so that you can be more effective when you show up for others around you, your spouse, your children, whatever the case might be. So, are you running on fumes? And if so, what are you going to do to replace that with a place of balance? Now, as you know, I've always said I don't believe in work-life balance, but what I do believe is in work-life design. So how can you redesign your life so that you can get more balance to come out of it? Here's the last thing I want to encourage you with today. I want to encourage you to start to think about all of the roles and all of the responsibilities that you have. This might even be a little bit of a homework assignment, but I want you to take the time and write those things down. Here are all the roles that I have. I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, whatever those roles might be. I'm a CEO, I'm a COO. Write them all down. And then just take one of those roles and start to record some of the responsibilities. Now, I don't encourage you to do all of that in one day, list all your roles and then list all the responsibilities with it, because that can feel a little bit like burnout, ready to char you. But what you can do is list your roles and pick one role and start to list your responsibilities. What do I want you to do next? Well, once you list those responsibilities, start to see, are there things on the responsibilities list that perhaps can be reassigned or delegated or even eliminated altogether? Yes, I want you to think about those responsibilities in an Eisenhower matrix. If you're not familiar with an Eisenhower matrix, it literally allows you to think through what your task might be. Are there things that need to be decided upon? So if you're thinking about those responsibilities, who needs to maybe help you with getting these things done? And then once you make the decision, are there items on there that need to be determined because you still are trying to figure it out? Are there things that could be delegated, which would give you more time? And is there perhaps one or two items that could totally be deleted? So let me run you through a quick example. In our house, our little takes cheer. Her cheer practice is literally 45 minutes from our house. And so the very first thing that I have to determine is, if she's going to cheer, or is cheer perhaps canceled? What is really going to be the game plan as far as her schedule for the day? So in this role, this is my role as both a mother and as a wife and as a CEO, because I now have to determine next, am I going to need to leave work early? Is my husband going to perhaps take her? Is our son going along with us? What all needs to happen to make that determination? And then once I have made my decision, is there some potential for delegation? Can my husband maybe take her because I have another obligation, and so I can delegate the ride to him and he gets to be the cheer dad, right? And then, is there opportunity for deletion? Well, in this particular case, maybe not, because it's something that she loves and we're willing to make the sacrifice for it. But there are some instances in which cheer, unfortunately, gets deleted for the week because we might have a competing priority. And so as you work your way through these things, what are some ways that perhaps we can assist you here in the Robin's Nest? Know that we stand ready to support you as you make your way out of the fire and out of the burnout into a space of grace. Remember, this is the Grace Over Grind podcast, not the Grace and Grit podcast. And so I'm so excited to be back with you. And I want to remind you about the May 17th live recording. Listen, you're going to want to get on the VIP waitlist today so that you'll be ready when tickets actually are released. It's going to be an absolutely dynamic time in the month of May. It's going to be celebratory. We'll be having guest speakers, panelists, and you're going to want to be in the space. I promise you, you won't regret it. Listen, we're back, honey. I have my shim, shim, shim. The sparkle is going on today. If you are listening to this everywhere that podcast can be found, perhaps on Apple Play or on Google Play, come and join me over on YouTube so that you can enjoy all this fabulousness, because I am excited to be back with you. Nothing has changed. We are just going further, farther, and deeper into this Grace Over Grind life experience so that we can also have grace and gratitude. I'm your host, Dr. Lacey C. Robbins, and as I always say, from process to practice, grab your stilettos and let's